Whoa, hey, we are live. I pressed the wrong button, and now I'm live here with IndianaMat Guerrilla Radio, episode 61, and I have Mike Reiser here. How are you doing?
What up? What up?
And I gotta kill your echo as soon as I get to where I need to be. So we're back a couple days earlier than usual. We got a brand new ranking update. Lots of stuff to go over tonight. There we have everything, almost. Mike, how's the new house? Looks like you got a chair.
Got a chair. Got a desk set up. Still working on curtains. It's gonna happen. We're gonna keep working hard and hopefully get some curtains and blinds going.
That's
progress. Building the house was different because there's a lot of stuff that I guess you don't really think about, and that toilet paper holders. I just took that for granted my whole life. They don't add that to your home. You gotta go out and buy that. So but Kim's done a great job of doing all that stuff because if I did it would be wrong, I'm sure.
that's the
I come back check this one out. It lights up. I almost bought a light up shower head for the girls' bathroom. She kiboshed that. She told me no.
Nice.
But it changed colors. I had LED lights in it. I thought it was gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's always fun stuff. Building a house and such. You had a new rankings update. That's the biggest news. I don't see anyone commenting, which is right? Rare. No one's commenting. No one's on here. We got two brand new number ones. Jacob Bolte and at 220 and Jesse Mendez at 126. Bolte, how'd he end up in the rankings? I guess that's the easiest one.
He's returning state qualifier 220. Great match in the finals with Fowler at the Al Smith. Fowler was 2, and earlier that weekend we had kind of found out. I had got a message that there was a fall. The number 1 ranked wrestler at 220 was pinned, and obviously he's really good. So it's not that it's hard to when you got guys like that. I thought maybe it could have been a fluke, so we wanted to wait. Obviously I was doing the announcing at the Al Smith. I wanted to be the new number 1, but Kyle Cornwall is so good. He could come back, and maybe it was a fluke fall. I know he had pinned, and then Andrew Eric had beat him again the next day. So that dropped him and moved Andrew Eric up. So I thought possibly putting Eric number 1. I know him and Fowler had wrestled head-to-head at freshman sophomore state 2 years ago, and Fowler had won that. So Bolte's undefeated. He knocked off the number 2 guy. He jumped up, and I think that's where he's at right now.
Yeah, so, one of the things with at North Montgomery, it's kind of a cool setup where they wrestle duels. They wrestle a dual tournament on the first day, and then the second day they wrestle an individual tournament. Pretty much, so you get a lot of repeat matches, but it's also there's a lot of times in dual tournaments where a lot of the better guys don't see each other because pools and such. So Eric wrestled Cornwall twice, and you had a decent number of repeat matches, which is definitely hard to beat a guy multiple times, in multiple days. Just like you see it at the Al Smith in the tournament, you'll see our 132 actually kind of saw Moreno twice. Moreno injury defaulted the second day, but he would have seen him twice, and that happens. That happens at different tournaments, and so you're going to see that there. It's pretty neat to see that you get those, and then you kind of get to prove it after Eric beat it Cornwell. He kind of had to prove it, so which was good. The other one, Jesse Mendez, number 1 at 126. I know we were kind of discussing on text, and I don't know. It's one of those things that the rankings, to put it nicely, the rankings aren't exactly predictions of who me or Mike or anyone thinks is going to win the state or how they finish. It's based on a resume. State credentials and such. So it's not like when Mike does his pick'ems, he might have someone number 1, but he might pick a 3 or 4 ranked guy because he's wrestling better, because he might be a better matchup to win state. But really can't justify ranking him over a state champion or someone that's placed 2 or 3 times, whatever it is. So that's
Right.
kind of the rankings. You got to take that out of there, because if it was just a prediction of who was going to win, it would be you would have 4 guys from Fort Wayne, 4 from East Chicago, 4 from Newcastle. If that was what rankings are, and they are not, we have odd numbers of guys at each weight in the 16. So,
Yeah.
Newcastle might have 5 132-pounders, but obviously all of them aren't going to qualify for state unless someone moves to Carroll. So with that, talk to us about a little bit why Mendez has jumped from 3 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that weight's really good up top, especially up top. When Mendez won the Al Smith in toughest weight, one of the toughest weights, I mean, he had a semifinalist there, and he beat a returning champ in the finals, which was a great match. We touched on it a little bit during the team state draws. That was a match where both those guys were going forward for 6 minutes. I was really impressed. And then on the flip side of that, Curtis, who is obviously phenomenal. Any of those guys could be number one. Obviously, Mendez had a win over Watts, but that's not guaranteeing that Watts couldn't beat him next time. I think there were some situations where Watts could have scored. I was surprised early on when he went lateral drop, and then Mendez obviously has done a nice job in Greco. Curtis didn't have as strong results at Mooresville. I think he had 2 overtime matches or an overtime match and another really tight one. So just kind of weighing those, we ended up going with Mendez number 1, or I did. I ran it by Joe. I just said, hey, that's what I'm thinking, because obviously, like, even though sometimes I do catch flack, I don't catch as much flack as Joe does. And generally, the bad stuff,
Yeah.
They say it's Joe, good stuff's me. So,
Yeah. Everyone thinks I
but-
do the rankings and I don't, and then they file complaints with me, and I'm like, they do those. I give my stamp of approval. I usually give a last glance to make sure you don't have someone wrong weight, or I'm like, especially Fort Wayne area guys, like, so and so beat so and so, you might want to change that. And sometimes, I mean, usually most of the time it's minor, or it's so and so's at this weight. I mean, he just dropped down. I saw that last week or whatever. So it's little things that I see there. But it's one of those things that at this time of the year that's a big, that's a big win, and then obviously coupled with a little bit lesser performance than we expected out of Curtis. And well, if Curtis puts it on Watts this week, he might jump back up to number 1. Because they should be they'll probably be wrestling Saturday, so that'll be a good one. I think I know I'm going to be tuning into that one, watching that. Hopefully between matches at New Haven.
Yeah, I don't think that there's not a bad pick there. And like you were saying, we've said in the past, like, these aren't the pick'ems. My pick'ems are generally pretty good. I don't always do that. I do pretty well. Like me. Sprunger and Spires are usually right up there. McGill does a good job. He's up there towards the top. But used to. I don't think he does it anymore. But me, Sprunger, and Spires is usually like in the top 5. I throw the rankings out the window. You get a little bit, but there's some spots where maybe I feel guys are a little bit stronger than other spots where you're maybe he's a returning medalist and he doesn't have the strongest results, and you're like, well, you're not going to drop him because no one's beat him, and that's how it's been. But I also do a pick'ems with just straight rankings as best we can. Like, obviously, there's no perfect system. I think we're 84% last year.
Yeah.
So 84% of the guys at the state finals are ranked, and we just go higher ranked matchups along the board, and that usually does pretty well too. It's like top 50s. So.
Yeah, that's always a good one. And that's actually. You use those, and then you kind of just go through the you pick those, and then you go through and add a couple little upsets here and there, or guys that are wrestling a little bit better or have a little bit better draws, and that's a good way to finish fairly high and maybe get a prize at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I know Dane said it before too. I'm a fan. That's what I do. I'm not a coach. I'm not anything. I just I do the rankings, and I'm a fan. I do some announcing now, so that's usually fun. But more than anything, I'm a fan. I love the upset. I love the good matches. I know Dane said like he doesn't always like he likes to be right because he's right, and obviously I like to be right also. But I love to see like that upset match or a guy like that maybe he feels and I get to hear it like they tell me like I'm like great. They're like, oh, like you were sleeping on me. Like, no, that's great. I'm excited for that. That's what I love. That's what
Yeah,
I love about the sport.
yeah. The rankings are, they're fun. They're for discussion. That's for promotion of the kids in the sport, and it's always nice to have those rankings out there. I mean, I know colleges are looking at those. I know I get texts from coaches, hey, this guy is, your fifth best 182 pounder. How good is he? And then, things like that. I mean, people see those, and it's great for the sports, great for promotion of the kids and getting kids' attention, and it's obviously not a perfect system, but we keep working on it every
Yeah,
week, and it'll be. I mean,
yeah. I work with a head college wrestling coach 3 days a week, and he tells me all the time I'm wrong. So
nice. So, I did a little math. Actually, used a spreadsheet. The big movers this week, based on the last rankings, had a couple really big movers. We had, let's see, how many people? At least 55 people move up at least 2 spots. That includes, I didn't mark anyone that was not ranked as 17th, so a 17th ranked guy to 15th is 2 spots, even though they could have were a little bit lower. The biggest mover, Austin Lane of Perry Meridian,
yeah,
who went from 16th at 220, and he's now fourth at 195. So if 12 spots ranking wise, but in all honesty, he probably passed 28 guys. So going through 220 and heavy and 95. But yeah, that's our biggest mover. He had a great Al Smith beating Rockney Hurley, returning state qualifier. The other biggest mover who jumped from unranked to sixth, Will Nunn from Castle at 195. So 95 had 95 had a couple big movers. Any comments on where he obviously he was at Mooresville? He must have had a pretty good tournament there.
he had a pretty good Mooresville, to say the least. He did a good job. Yeah, obviously we were there at the Al Smith. Austin Lane looked good all weekend. That's a great move for him to move down a weight class and go. He beat Shea Akinwumi from Maryville in the semis. That's how you say it too. They gave me the phonetic. I like that. And then beat Rockney Hurley, who was two. Rockney was returning state qualifier, and that's kind of what we were saying. Like your state credentials, put you towards the top. And we did the stats before, and I don't have it in front of me, but like generally, if you went to state and you're a champ, there's like a 99% chance of you going back. Like medalist, it's like it's super high too. It's like 90 something, and then qualifier all the way down. So, and when you put those in the rankings to start off, those are kind of how it fits. I mean, summer results we take into consideration. Obviously, we do the IndianaMat tournament, and that's literally 2 months before the season. You're getting a huge idea of what those guys are going to be weight wise and where they're at, and how many guys. Everyone says they're on a mission or they're in training, and that really shows. You see those guys. So Rockney was two, and I think he was outside of Silas. He was the only other returning state qualifier in that weight. Oh, Victor Lee, who also lost to KJ Rowdenbush, but and Bynum, who took a couple losses. So it was his first loss, and I thought those guys do a good job of turning out heavyweight, bigger guys at Perry Meridian. And Austin Lane, he's well deserved. He made a huge jump.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's a big jump. Obviously, and there's another 95-pound big jump. 9 spots basically. Cale Gray from Norwell went from unranked to 8th. He was at Moores. Was he at Mooresville? No, he wasn't. Or no, he was at. Where was he? What? I guess. Where did he come out of? I know he was somewhere this weekend. Wasn't he?
I think that a lot of times when I'm also doing this, it's a lot. It definitely becomes a lot, and you have to kind of rely on those guys a lot. And Howie Cotty does a great job at Newcastle, and the new guy at Evansville, I keep forgetting his name. We're in a group chat with
Phil.
him too.
Phil.
Phil, yep.
Yeah.
And he does a great job. So when a weight like 95, and I'm going to use 95 because it's one of those weights where there's a lot of guys that could be medaling and be the champ. And I think Silas is really good. I think he's the highest ranked nationally right now, correct?
Yes.
He's the real deal. So I think all these guys are kind of, they can beat each other up. So I had to look at my East Chicago semi-state rankings and say, okay, who do I think is going to come out of there? And obviously you and Donovan's been doing a nice job. He bumped up and beat Joey Kidwell. He's getting as many good matches as he can get. We did an article on him.
Yes.
And I looked at Caleb's because Caleb does an amazing job with the 4-weight semi-state rankings. And he had Caleb Gray pretty high. And I'm like, you know what? I'm probably sleeping on this guy. I went back and looked at some of his results on track, and we went in there and did that. And that's kind of why we changed it up. And he had him pretty high. And I as I'm looking at his results, I'm like, all right, not that Norwood's throwing me any like grief or anything like that. They're he's just flying on the radar, and we slid him in there.
Yeah, he lost to Agnew 5-4 about a month ago. So he's pretty solid, and that's a big jump obviously there. Back to my spreadsheet. The other guys, two other guys, another we've already talked about Andrew Irek. He went from 12 to 3. That was a big jump. And then Brooks Davis, another Perry Meridian. Perry Meridian, you were sleeping on them, man.
They're moving weights.
Yeah, he went from.
You know what? I had to go.
Yeah, he went from 12th to 3rd there. Did he? No, he did not. Did he change weights? He went from 70 to.
Yeah, he was at 170.
So yeah,
I had him behind Kyle Saez because he had lost to him early on, and it was like, oh man, he kind of linked to that guy, that wrestler. And then you turn around, and then he's at 160, and he's wrestling double overtime with, Jordan Slivka.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good. Yeah, he was in that match. So, next highest, biggest Tucker Shank, back up to number 5. I think he was pretty high early in the season. Then he kind of fell down, and then he's back up. He's a 2-time state qualifier.
Yeah, I think that was another one where we were switching weight classes. And they sent me an email and said, hey, this is what he's going to be at. This is his only loss. He lost to a Union County kid who's ranked pretty well in Kentucky. And he's had a good showing. So, again, another guy that's a state qualifier. He's had state experience. And when you're not losing Indiana guys, we're going to kind of go that way,
Yeah. Couple other big movers, up 7 spots. Well, Holden Parsons, heavyweight. He was up pretty high. Took a couple kind of bad losses, and then had a good Mooresville. He's back up to number 8. He was
heavyweight's a tough one.
Yeah.
A lot like 95. I think 220 is kind of like that also. Those guys are really trading losses in there, and I know Holden Parsons is really good. He's a return state qualifier. He had taken a loss to a Connorsville kid early, and I still haven't seen Connorsville's bracket, so I would love to see how that kid finished up. But
no
yeah, that would be awesome. I would enjoy that if someone could email that to us.
Yeah.
They used to be we used to have 2 sources that would get it to. Well, you were a source for a little bit.
Yeah, yes, I was. I used to have a source. I've had some sources, but they've all for some odd reason they go there for a year or 2 and then they leave.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
For different reasons.
Yes.
But so we haven't really. I following the Ron Colley Twitter page. I know how they did.
Yeah.
So
It was Ron Colley versus the world, and I think Ron Colley won.
Yeah. So yeah, heavyweight's just difficult. I do think that Holden Parsons is a talented wrestler, and I think that taking those early losses, heavyweight's a kind of a toss-up. I think I was just talking about it last night. I think there's several guys that can win that weight. That would be a weight where, and you and I have talked about it too, or a guy that maybe was in the rankings for a little bit that fell out, he could be in there to win it. Jack Biddle, who just fell out of the rankings. I think actually the name I used when we were talking about it was Wyatt Kramer from Southridge.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's a lot of good heavyweights, and it's just heavyweight's such a, one move can end the match, or, one takedown, and the margin for error at heavyweight is a lot smaller than the other weights, and it's you have a lot of newer guys that don't have quite the credentials because it's usually junior, senior, heavy. So when you have young guys in there, we've been spoiled in the past few years with the guys we've had in Indiana at heavyweight, some pretty good younger guys, and so now it's kind of turned over, and obviously the number 1 guy that the returning state champ is out, so that
Yeah.
makes it even more wide open.
We talked about that early on. The guys that I said that I felt were a lock, I would have said Eli Picorni, but he's obviously not in the lineup, and he was at 220 even. I seen him this weekend. He looked pretty lean.
Yeah, he did. He looked. I was very surprised. I mean, because he's really tall, and then had the hair that's about another foot off that. He's pretty tall, and I'm surprised that he'd be down at 220 because I'm sure they want him at heavyweight in college, and he has that frame that he can build upon that.
Kevin Moore, Coach Moore. No, I agree. Antoine could win that also.
Yeah.
He's right there. I mean, obviously, Antoine Alexander's right in the rankings too. And he's had some all those guys, when you look at it, and this is like one of the things I love about the rankings page, not to say, oh, the rankings are always great, but you can go there and you have all the results. You have who these guys have lost to and who they wrestled tight with. You see a bunch of 1-0s. I think, who was I going to say? Dennis Hubbard from Warren Central, who just fell out of the rankings, had a ton of close results. I think all of his matches are 2-0, 1-0.
Yeah, some of them have
definitely a very talented.
Yeah, they have quite a few. There's a lot of results in there. I just put in about 200 from Mooresville, from North Montgomery, from Al Smith, and that still wasn't enough. There's some guys. Geez, I was looking at like Alex Cotty. Cotty has like a dozen. It's a page. His little block is like a page long.
I love that though.
Yeah.
Whenever like things are slow, which I haven't really had the time, I like to go in and just like say, okay, go down the board. Okay, I get to a guy that doesn't have any results. Like, let's go to his track page, find out who he's wrestling. Let's add those results. I think everyone should have at least one result to their name. I mean, someone that was in the rankings or semi-state or better.
Yeah.
So
it's usually not too hard even to find some of the guys that are in our watch list on the semi-states. So if you don't have someone there, it's rare. Or if you have only one or two, and I'm just browsing through, and I can kind of tell why some of them are late entries into the rankings, so they don't have people. We weren't really watching them, and we just gotta add them there. Carson Brewer doesn't have any. I'm sure he does, but
yeah, well, he had a really big one out there in Brecksville.
Yeah. Yes, he did. He had a couple big wins. I should add that to my list. The other big movers, kind of just go with those guys. People who jumped up 6 spots. I had quite a few. Kyle Holman from Carmel was the only one that was ranked. He went from 14th to 8th. And then you have a slew of unranked guys went from unranked to 17th. Brady Lewis from Huntington North. We got word that official that Preston Tush is going to be at 113, and Lewis was pretty solid last year. I think he wrestled up a little bit, and he was pretty solid when he was in the lineup. Evans Beasley, Northridge. Mike was probably fairly impressed with them at Al Smith. I think they had some kids that could battle, and they wrestled pretty well.
Coucha, man, my guy Coucha.
Yes. Cade Meyer and Elston Ross from Bloomington South. Meyer had some good wins, and he kind of just plugged away and had a real good Al Smith. Elston Ross, I know we wrestled him. He's pretty solid. Clay Singleton of Gibson Southern. Phoenix Rogers from Heritage Hills. And then
Phoenix Rogers. He was on fire this weekend. He had all those pins.
Yeah.
That's another one of the I know I'm just talking about how much I love the site, and we're doing a show, and all these people obviously visit the site. But the notable wins and upset post, that's like my favorite post. I love going to that.
Yeah.
And Phoenix Rogers was on fire. I think he ended up pinning Jalen Morgan this weekend. He might have pinned him twice.
Jeez. Yeah, that's some good wins there. And then Reeve Muncie from Carroll. I pinned him today twice.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
That's a large man.
He's a baby. He's only a sophomore.
That's a child too. I think I was gonna rank him at 220. He's starting off, and Joe's like, "Oh, he's not making 220 anymore." I said, "I doubt that." And then I seen him this weekend. I was like, "Dude, that dude is huge." he's a big guy. I had a guy tell me yesterday they think that's a state champ, and I had 2 people tell me at the Al Smith that guy's a Division I line prospect. I don't know what he plays in football, but they say he should be playing tackle for somebody.
Yeah, he started as a freshman at Carroll, which is a big school, which is pretty impressive. And he put on the freshman 40, and yeah, he's pretty big. he's a horse, and he's only a baby. He's only a sophomore. As I keep telling people, he's a baby. So, let's see, any other big movers of. Well, Drew Webster moved up.
Matt Holman had a nice one also.
What?
And Ed told me if I didn't rank him high, he was going to hurt me. No, I'm just joking.
Another 220 obviously had a lot of changes. Drew Webster, Braden Erb both moved up 5 spots. Tice Frazier, I know I pronounced that wrong probably. He moved up 6 spots to number 2. That's a pretty big jump. Drake Campbell, who returning a couple times state placer, he moved up 4 spots. So a lot of big movers. I should just post this every week. That'd be fun. But
38, 38's a difficult weight, man.
Yeah.
Caden Rooks he looked phenomenal in the finals. And he wrestled Connor Gibson, who I know is really good. Connor Gibson is legit. And Caden Rooks just looked like he was on that next level. And I left there thinking, okay, like, who's 2?
Yeah.
And, Tice won Connorsville. He's undefeated. I'm sure we can get the pronunciation. I'm sure that Ed can send that to us.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's Frahey, I believe.
Frahey.
Yeah.
So we moved him to 2. We got to see a lot of those guys. But I think one's pretty safe there. I thought he looked phenomenal.
Yeah, he looked pretty tough. He's gonna be hard to beat there. And there's a lot of good guys there at that weight that that's gonna be technically the first Columbus East wrestler to win 2 state championships. But that's there's a little star on that because Columbus used to be one high school, and then they put all the records with Columbus North, like the IHSA did. So Free-G, thank you.
Free-G. I like that.
I'm gonna change his name on there just to call it Free-G so that we can. We need to add that to our to the database. You can pronounce. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. People can put in the phonetic spelling.
Phonetic. I thought you were gonna let him say nicknames on there.
No.
Phonetic spelling would be amazing.
That'd actually be.
Yeah, the more phonetic spellings, the better.
Yes, I actually like that idea. I'm gonna add that tonight. See, let's go off the fly out of the seat of our pants, and I'm gonna put a little note. I can't even spell phonetic, can I? That'd be good. Then Ed can't get mad at us for mispronouncing names.
Yeah, and if they do, I'm just gonna say I didn't see it on your page.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
I wonder when we were handing out the final list sheets for the Al Smith, some of them were coming back a little light.
Yeah.
So I was going to the IndianaMat page, like, all right, let's add these in here. I still think we need to put and now that I'm doing more announcing, so I used to say like, I can't believe the announcer's doing this. We need to do our own where it's stacked, because I think I'm not sure if it was Rooks, but I'll just use Rooks. I know he's a state champion. It was all of his placements, state champion, and then it was 3-time sectional, 3-time regional.
Yeah.
It's nah, man, you got to put those ahead of those so I can work it in descending order here.
Yes.
So you got to put sectional, regional, semi-state, state placements, state rank, national rank, phonetic. We should just do a print off like that.
So yeah, that's I'm gonna add that. We definitely need to be able to just print off bio sheets.
Yeah, just hit a click and then right there, you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
That's the biggest rankings update. Lots of changes. There'll be more changes this weekend. There's a lot of big matches going on at Team State, especially at 3A level. That's where most of the big matches are going to be. There's obviously going to be some ranked matchups, and at the lower divisions, it's going to be a lot of guys chasing matches, whether it's to chase a match or for team points, bumping up to say, hey, we got to knock off one of their big dogs with one of our big dogs, and we got to gamble a little bit. I know we had Indiana wrestling guy did a heck of a job with that write-up with the rankings and stuff. That was pretty good.
I see the power rankings came out.
Yeah.
That's always really cool. We got to kick it off a little bit last night with a good duel, which I was part of. So both those teams are not competing at the state. Maryville, I think, declined. Did they decline this year again? Were they invited?
I think they were in the voting, so
Okay.
I don't
And
know.
it was a good duel. And I think that's like one of those ones that that's the how duels work. You have the bumping around, you have guys moving weights, and I expect to see that this weekend. I won't be there. They're trying to. I know someone asked if there's going to be any Lake County coverage. I think Region Sports is trying to do the coverage of the Lake County for the finals, um, but it's difficult to gauge what time that's going to be. So I think they want to go live from that. So I'll be watching on Track Wrestling, which is easier for me as a rankings guy to watch those matchups, even though I feel like they do an amazing job in the arena, like calling out ranked matchups. It's it's like one level course where you can't always see all over. Like on track, I could just click Mat 1, Mat 4. Oh, I got the, I got the I think they're using track. I'm not positive.
Yeah, they'll use track.
Pretty amazing. So amazing atmosphere in there. If you haven't gone, I would say go and experience it because it's pretty amazing. It's the Coliseum's really good. When we were at Maryville, even though I loved Maryville as a semi-state, didn't always like the crowdedness, but it was always pretty cool. When I went out to Fort Wayne for the first time and we went to the Coliseum, it was like, oh, this is where you guys do your semi-state. This is pretty legit.
Yeah. Yeah, Indie Sports Fan. Where's his post at? I can't find it.
It was under 3A.
3A Team State. There it is. Okay. Yeah. There we go. He did a real good job with that. That first pool, you got Sparrow versus Conley, Ray Rio, Walenzak, Garcia Bailey, number 2, and Conley versus Rogers. Conley the Giant Slayer versus Rogers. Those should be some big matches. The second pool, Suhas Chundi. I know I'm gonna mispronounce that. There'll be a text in about 3 seconds. Versus Alec Freeman, Moran versus Cole Ross. That's gonna be a good one. I definitely want to see that one. Borman and Haskins, Peel and Egley. That should be another good one. Hegedus versus Holman, and then Clay Egley's also there. So that's a three ranked guys right there. Donnell Washington versus Gabe Sollers, and then Logan Hart versus McCartney Parkinson. Another 2 top 8 guys there.
It definitely that's one of those days where you're gonna be seeing ranked matchups all over the place, and 2A might have the best one of the first round.
Yeah.
Projecting, obviously matches can go either way, but there's not a lot of times you're getting 2 state champs possibly to compete.
Yeah. In the next poll, you have Glithero from Roncalli and Carlton Perry from Warren Central, Lowry, Stewart, Slivka, Ross. A lot of these guys have probably met. Then you got number 1 versus 2 at 138, Freegee and Rooks and Rowlett. You never count out one of those Warren guys. I know.
Last week, Rowlett, or not even last week, last show, Rowlett said he's taking that down.
Yep.
Hold him to it. I believe him.
Yep. 52, Schnaggy and Coleman. That should be a good one. Mahan and Nick South. That's going to be, man, those two are both going to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
And Mahan was big at 82 when I saw him at 82, and I was kind of surprised he's back down to 70, but yeah.
I heard he can sing too.
Nice.
I don't know. Does he sing? He does like something like that.
Yeah, he was in like their musical and stuff. He does that. He plays football. He's in the musical, wrestles, and
man, let's get Falcons to get him to sing the national anthem. That'd be amazing.
Right before he's under the lights.
Yeah.
And then the Perry, Brownsburg, and Northridge one will have a few Cotty and Logan Miller, Gabe Smith, Drew Kreitzer, Brooks Davis, John Theory, John Baptiste, and then Austin Lane, possibly Lawson Aiken. That's at 220. They might be, it wouldn't surprise me if Perry has to bump him up to maybe steal a win. That's one of those things that they might knock off one of their big dogs there.
Definitely an exciting weekend.
Yes. That's pretty much. You have the Lake County one. Um, there's really not a lot going on. Obviously, all the best teams are going to be in Fort Wayne. So there's not. It's kind of a quieter week than we usually have.
Do you,
Other than it's all in one location. I mean, you got 36 teams, which is pretty big.
do you guys are you guys wrestling this weekend?
Yeah, we're going to be at New Haven, which isn't going to be too far. So I'm gonna, if we get done early, I might try to sneak over there and watch
Oh,
probably
you guys
semis
go
and
to
finals.
when you guys were competing at Team State, you guys would send your B team to New Haven, correct?
No, we send them to Connorsville one year, and then after that we brought them. We've never had any conflicts with them, but we took our B
Okay.
team to New Haven last year, and it was a different date. Team State was.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but hopefully maybe we'll be in the event next year again. So let's see. Do we need to go over anything that happened this weekend? I think we kind of already did, pretty much. Any other results of interest? Since we kind of went over the rankings, we kind of touched on if you have Connorsville brackets, I'll get you my address for your carrier pigeons to drop them off. I know they're kind of expensive during holiday weeks, but if anyone has any, I usually somehow they end up in my inbox. Usually sometime this week, but I haven't heard from anybody that was there. Probably internet went out or something. I mean, it's not like Carmel where the school blew up.
How great was that post too?
Yeah. Yeah. But if you didn't hear, Carmel school like exploded, and I guess they were having practice at that time. Like part of the school exploded last week, Thursday or
I
something.
seen something on Twitter, and they said like thanks like Coach P for like making sure everyone was okay, and
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah. So
It's not awesome that their school blew up, but awesome that you have someone that is responsible enough to keep his head in that situation.
yeah.
I wouldn't expect anything else from a man from the region.
Yeah. Still has that region blood. So yeah, that's our plea for Connorsville brackets. The one thing we haven't gone over lately is our top tens. We've done freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. We do have a pound for pound. I have that up. Do you have yours up there?
Let's do it. I can do it. Let me look at it. I have not even touched it.
Awesome, even better.
I'm all about it.
I pulled in the top 10 or so from each class.
Pound for pound. All right, all right. Yeah, I
So,
see it.
Oof. It's kind of hard. I mean, you got some guys that I would probably put up there. You got Picorni for number one. Picorni. You have Garcia, Curtis, Moran. South, who has some pretty good, solid national credentials. Donnell Washington has some good credentials. And then even you throw in Lytle. Where's Allred? Allred's down a little bit. Allred, who I don't know if him and Picorni were probably neck and neck for about the highest national ranking, and that'd be kind of a interesting one to put number one, even though he's only placed at state once. And Washington he placed second in Illinois, I believe, as a freshman. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think 2A. But yeah.
So he's placed twice and was state qualifier as a sophomore in Illinois, which is a decent wrestling state from what I've heard. But
Yeah, they did a nice job.
I'm probably leaning towards Picorni number one, but that's one of those you can make a case for about 5 or 6 guys, a legitimate case. His national credentials probably trump most of everyone else's. Double Fargo All-American, Fargo champ, was almost a Triple Crown winner, I think, as a sophomore, which is pretty impressive. So,
Yeah,
anyone else you'd
I
like to
Picorni
petition for number one?
Number two. I would say number one, Eli.
Yeah. Number two, man. You got some state champs. Do you go off national rankings, which we've actually had some guys, flirting in the national rankings. They've cracked the 18 to 20 area, which is still pretty good. The past couple weeks, some guys went down, and even the guys at Brecksville actually did some good work, so they are cracking those rankings. Man, I'm probably gonna say, I'd say Moran maybe. Moran or Garcia is probably who I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, I was leaning towards Garcia. I think you're good either way. 2-3 there. I think those guys.
Yeah, I think Garcia placing that Super 32 is probably a little bit higher because he's placed there. That's probably one of the bigger ones to place at.
Yeah, what they say. When I was at the Harvest, they kept telling me I think Moran defaulted out in the quarters. So they always like to plug that.
Yeah, no, he's made the quarters like 3 or 4 years in a row it seems, and always can't. You just need that one match, and just those are some tough matches. Are you thinking Moran down there, or I mean, there's Washington who has some good national credentials. You have Allred who has some national credentials.
Yeah, I'd probably go Moran third, then Allred 4.
Okay.
Well,
Well, this might be easy finding top 10. It's going to be, you got South, Curtis, Watts, who has 3 medals, which is only one other. Slivka has 3 medals. Mosconi has some national credentials. Donnell Washington has some. He was a Fargo runner-up in Greco, placed at Super 32. Do we go with Nick South? The runner-up performance at Super 32 is one that's sticking out to me there.
Yeah, I think Nick's out there.
And we can kind of take away his lack of state credentials because of that Super 32 performance. That trumps even winning state pretty much, making the finals at Super 32, and giving number 1 guy in the country a heck of a run. Ooh, man.
Rooks maybe 6.
Rooks, you like Rooks number 6 over Washington, or Washington just took out a number 1 too this weekend.
Yeah, let's go Washington. Yeah, Washington then Rooks. This is pretty good.
Man,
not a bad top 10.
Yeah, we could do a top 20, top 30 on this. I like 10 because then it's going to create, you're going to have some guys on the outside. I'm already looking down there. Yeah, but Lytle, that's one we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, Matt Lee.
Yeah, Matt Lee. You have Brock Ellis, who's a double Fargo All-American. Aiden Moore and Briar Hall. Place that you got Mendez, Seltzer. Eek. Obviously, they don't have quite the high school resumes, but they still have pretty darn good resumes.
Yeah.
Number 8. Do you go Curtis with 2 state titles? You got Lytle, who has no state titles but placed at Fargo in Super 32. You have Rogers, who's been under the lights. Cotty, Borman. Man, I don't even want to.
Yeah, I would probably go 8. Oh, that was tough.
I know.
Where would you put, Lytle obviously just beat a Riley Bedich, but he's second, third in Michigan. It was overtime with Lytle.
Oh shoot.
I had not looked at this at all, so bear with me, guys.
I'm leaning either Lytle or Curtis.
Yeah. I think Lytle.
Yeah.
That was actually the closest match other than the Garcia loss I seen in the Austin finals.
That was a crazy match. I thought he was dead to his rights.
Yep.
Hit Pice over and Bedich just sat there like, I can't do anything. That was pretty snazzy. Now you're looking, Mosconi has some national credentials. Curtis, who has 2 state titles.
Yeah, I'd probably say Curtis there. Even
Yeah.
though I just moved him out of the number one spot, he still has two state titles. He hasn't lost in Indiana in 2 years. In high school season, he
Yeah.
lost at
Yeah.
Indiana
Since
Mat.
his freshman year, he's won over 100 straight matches, which is
Yeah,
winning 100 matches period is pretty solid. Winning 100 straight is even better. The final spot, ooh, man, you got Watts, Slivka, Viduya. Um, yeah, you can throw in a Bedic, throw in a Mendez, a Salzer who's placed at Fargo. Um, oof. That 10 spot's pretty heated. Man,
I, man, I might sound like a homer because it's a region guy. I would lean towards Mendez. I mean, think about this. He has wins on this list over Littell and Moran
yeah,
at
and
Indiana Mat.
yeah, and Watts just
Hit
beat
a
Watts,
Watts.
who's in the conversation for that last spot also. That's a very good.
Yeah, I'm leaning Mendez at 10, and I mean obviously that'll change. That can change at any point, but I mean he has wins over 3, 8, 3 and 8, and
Yeah,
obviously we probably do 11 because at some point, I mean I know Picorni's on the list, but I mean he hasn't competed. He's not going to compete this year.
and yep, that looks pretty good. You got Picorni, Garcia, Moran, Allred, South, Washington, Rooks, Lytle, Curtis, and Mendez. And and the guys out of the top 10: Watts, Slivka, Mosconi, Viduya, Matt Lee, Bedic. Yeah, Fargo All Americans: Brock Ellis and Aiden Warren, Blake Borman, who's tough as nails, and may have won a state title last year. Got third on one leg. And you got Salter, who's a
Yeah.
Fargo All American. Then you got the CMA freshmen who are pretty good too.
Oh yeah.
There's yeah. No, I think that's a pretty solid top 10. I'm sure when I post these afterward, there's going to be some discussion. But
Yeah, I'm interested to see that discussion. I'm tired of the discussions we're having now
yeah,
on the board. I'm ready for new discussions. I want to see how everyone kind of goes with the Mendez being a freshman at 10. 'Cause I know there's a lot of like old school guys that feel like, oh man, he hasn't won a state title yet. Like, yeah, he's pretty good though.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
As an eighth grader,
And,
beat the guy that eventually won state. So that's a pretty good sign to do that when
I'll
you're in
be
eighth grade.
interested to see. I know, like a lot of guys, they're gonna have the opinion. It's like an OW thing. Like when you do your OW, how do you determine your OW? Is it the guy that won the toughest weight, or is it the guy that dominated?
Yeah.
You know.
I,
And I think that everyone looks at it differently. Like, well, this guy wasn't even had a close match. Yeah, but he pinned 5 guys that weren't like super good. But this guy beat the number 2 guy. Yeah, but it was a close match. So different people view it differently.
yeah. No, I know there's an event we go to that we do pretty well, and we ever since I've been there, and I know it's been a while that they've never got the OW. And last year we had a 4-time champ, which is it's not like the greatest tournament, but it's a decent tournament. 4-time champs aren't happening a lot, and didn't get OW. So usually they do it, and so maybe this year we'll get an OW because we'll have possibly another 4-time champ.
Yeah. And I think that's just one of those things of how you look at it. Like,
Yeah.
is it something? In the Harvest Classics early on, we did it 2 years ago, and everyone. I think one of the things that was crazy was everyone was turning their OW sheets in so early that it was like, hey man, we're at like 70. We still have like 4 ways to go, and people were actually voting on people that hadn't even competed. And I was thinking like, what if this guy loses? Like,
Yeah,
and we closed it out with Isaiah McWilliams, who was at the time I think he was number 1 in Indiana, and the heavyweight from Brother Rice, who was number 1 at 2A in Illinois.
Yeah.
Like no matter how, and they had dominated to that point. It was a good match in the finals, but probably that should have been the OW.
Yeah,
But
definitely. That's the
it's
one.
how you.
that's heavyweights don't get any love for OWs because everyone's turning their stuff in. They're trying to leave, and like yeah, that's a bad thing. I feel bad for heavyweights because anyone like 195 and above, they've gotten maybe one OW in the whole in history because everyone leaves and like
Draw
they,
them out of a hat, right? Draw the finals out of the hat.
Or just the most pins in the least amount of time. That's a great way to do OW.
That's how. Hey, it worked out for the Al Smith. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it always works out like that.
No,
but I think that if we're doing a coach's sheet for OW, Mendez had the most falls of any champ in the least amount of time, and he ended up winning probably the biggest match there also.
Yeah, there was a couple years ago where they were going to give the OW to a runner-up because technically it said the most falls in the least amount of time from a finalist. Didn't say they had to be a champion. And so I was a little livid, and because one of my guys should have gotten it, and it happened the right way. I was like, this is not right. You can't give the OW to a runner-up.
I think if Atria would have won that match, I think he would have been the OW. I didn't have it in front of me, but I think he hadn't even gone past the first period until the finals.
Yeah.
I don't even know, did he go past the first period in the finals either? I know he got sucked back and pinned.
Yeah.
I felt terrible. I think that's like one of the worst things. Both tournaments I did. I think for the Lake Central Harvest Classic announcing, we did the heavyweights on the stands, and I did it late after we did the team announce, and it was like that wasn't the right way. And I'm calling your guy, Reeve Muncie, over there, and he's not even like barely off the mat.
Yeah.
Because I felt like everyone's trying to leave. Half the mats are up, and I wanted to.
They're rolling up our mat. Who's on?
Dude, those dudes were ready to roll. They did an awesome job. Coach Sanford got us out of there quick. Faulkner got us out of there quick.
Yeah.
I wanted to do like a nice presentation for the coaches, the teams. I didn't even know how many teams were getting medal or plaques. I thought it was just the champs. They did 3. I had to call people over. But I felt terrible. Like for you, like Reeve Muncie was literally putting his warm up on as he's walking up on the stand. Yeah. And out of everyone there, and I'm not saying I'm the toughest guy, but those are the guys I want to fight the least. Those 6'5" dudes.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, that's everyone's trying to get out of there. It felt kind of empty. I mean, people were emptying out there pretty quickly, which is kind of disappointing because there's still some good matches going on. Kind of noticed towards the end, it's like, wow, this place is empty. People have really cleared out, and it probably, I guess even Penn Penn had a lot of upper weights there, so I'm surprised it cleared out as much because Penn usually has Penn and then everybody else. Cause that's on a far drive for those guys.
Definitely. I liked the drawing out of the hat. I mean, you were there. I was there. You probably remember it better than I do. When they did Taylor and Dake with the last match.
Yeah.
But I seen you in the hallway. We talked.
Yeah.
But I like that was the last one because no one would leave. No one wanted to leave. If we close with Mendez and Watts, maybe some teams are still leaving because they want to beat that rush home. But for the most part, like your casual fans are staying there to the end, to the very end of that. And I think that's the way it should be. Like, get the match everyone wants to watch, put that one last, and let everyone compete to that point.
Yeah, I know there's a little fishy stuff with IHSA rules, and Falcons was there, so there's usually no funny business when he's around.
That's my guy, man. I seen him. He's always looking sharp too.
Yeah, I tried kicking him off the floor because I was like, "Hey, this is for coaches and wrestlers only," and then he said, "No." But
that's my dude, man. We got to keep him in the good graces.
No, that's good stuff. So, this week you're going to be at the Harvest Classic, or not the Harvest, the
no,
Lake
Harvest
Central
Classic.
Or Lake County.
Lake County,
yeah.
Man. It's like the second biggest county in Indiana, I think, population-wise, maybe.
Yeah.
I might have made that up.
No one's going to fact check us. We'll close this off before.
No, 100% they will.
Yes.
I have a full day of softball early on, and then I'm going to leave there, shower, and go over and possibly call this championship round at the Lake County tournament. And then try to catch as many matches on track wrestling as I can at the IHSWCA, which is an amazing event.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to try to swing by there after we're done. Hopefully we get done early. We'll be there till the end because we have a heavyweight, and he likes to be the last match of the whole tournament.
telling you, man, make sure that announcer gets it right because that's a big man.
Yeah. Yes. So
Give him a second to get that jacket on.
yeah, we'll probably go probably next Monday. I don't think I have anything Monday. Talking about team state mostly, and then anything.
Oh yeah.
A lot of conference tournaments are coming up in the next couple of weeks, so those will always be good to check out. So with that, we will let you go, and we'll be back just in a couple of days. We're gonna keep doing these every week on time. So we'll see everyone this weekend.
See you guys.